Good Thursday afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are doing well out there and have had a good Thursday so far, and continue to have a good Thursday as we work our way into the afternoon and evening hours. We have model guidance to go over today as we continue to try to figure out this weekend storm system that we will see in areas of the south. There's still details to iron out, still uncertainty that remains. So we're going to try to figure all of that out, or at least attempt to in today's video. So like this video if you like it, subscribe if you've not done so already, and please leave a comment down below where you're watching from. It'd be greatly appreciated. First off, before we get into anything else, this video will be a little bit different in that I've changed some websites around, kind of just going to strip it back and get the most basic and helpful information out to you guys that I can. So, yeah, if you notice any differences, that's what it is. But we're going to start this off as usual by looking at the satellite throughout the day. You can see as the sun goes up, uh, or comes up, it kind of rises off to the west, and then you can see it's been pretty quiet. Most of the day you can see the terrain, which means there's not a whole lot of cloud cover, and it's been quiet across a lot of areas. The radar reflects that as well. We're already seeing some sort of surface low development out in areas of Texas that is very minor, but we are seeing it already. If I overlay the jet stream onto this, you can see how there's just a relatively strong ridge. The central areas, the south central areas of the U.S., and just kind of broad uh, northwesterly flow across the areas of the eastern U.S. And this is, if I take this off, you can see along the southern Appalachians, this area of clouds forms, and it kind of comes off the ridgetop. That's what northwest flow events consist of. So if it was just a little bit colder and more moisture, you'd actually get snow in the higher elevations. But moving on from that, the radar looks like this. There has been an uptick in some activity out west, just more overall precipitation, but nothing crazy about it. Still getting that northwest flow type of snow going in the northeast, and otherwise very, very, very quiet. Nothing really to speak of. Maybe some thunderstorm activity in areas of Florida, but nothing to speak of there. Watches, warnings, and advisories have really quieted down since yesterday's video. These are some winter weather advisories in the higher elevations of the Rockies out here, areas of New Mexico, and we also have a lake effect snow warning up in areas of New York. The biggest warning by size, that is over land at least, is this special weather statement down in areas of Georgia for higher fire weather danger. I mean, it's 63 degrees at my house. It was warmer earlier, but the relative humidity, which is what they often use to look at fire danger, is like 20%. So it's very dry outside, and it's been breezy today. So any fire gets going, it will continue. So we're gonna look here and try to figure out what this storm could do for this weekend. So we're going to look at two models that are higher or lower resolution, broader scale. The European and then the short range version of the Canadian. So here's the European model. We're going to start all of this off. This would be about 9 p.m. this coming Friday evening. So tomorrow evening, about 9 p.m. This is what the radar could look like. You see areas of red down here in areas of Texas and yellow. I do think those have the potential to be severe. They don't look like anything crazy on the Euro. Our short range model guidance may do a little bit more with this, and we'll look at that in a second. But you can see we start to progress. That, for example, that area of red just south of the Red River here, that has a potential at least to be severe. But we work our way through the day, and then this cluster of storms, model guidance kind of agrees on this. We get some sort of cluster of storms to pop up here that it seems to be severe. I'll put it that way. Most model guidance outputs this in warm enough temperatures to be at least strong thunderstorms. Severe, maybe not. The Storm Prediction Center has highlighted a risk. We're going to look at that later. I don't know if I pulled it up, so I might have to pull it up on the fly here. But we move this on, and like this area of red here is likely some pretty intense thunderstorms. I'm not talking about these excessively strong winds, 80 miles an hour. I mean, is it possible? Of course. I don't think that's going to happen. But a line of locally intense thunderstorms rolling through the Arklatex, approaching the Mississippi River here, and I mean, it kind of it continues. Now I'm going to stop this here because we'll move sectors here in a second. So you can see this area of red is likely stronger thunderstorms here. So we look at the short range version of the Canadian. This is initialized right about the same time, and you can see it looks very similar with its placement of this stronger reflectivity here. So yeah, I'm going to reload this in the event that it finished running. It did. So perfect. Yeah, we're gonna pull this back out here. So yeah, we get out to the afternoon and evening. So yeah, it's almost exactly the same. Yeah. So we look at this and we move it on. That those thunderstorms in areas of west central Texas would likely have the potential to be severe. Now you might be thinking, what about up here along the Oklahoma and Kansas border? Could they be? Yeah, they would likely be elevated, which means that they are the base of the storm is higher up in the sky, so they have less potential to be severe in ways other than hail. So I wouldn't expect these to do a whole lot, but areas to the south definitely could. As we move this on, this is an hour by hour type of model. They're not 3 hour increments, it's single hour. Move this out a little bit more. It's approaching 6 o'clock in the morning. This is 6 o'clock in the morning Central Time. And you can see that these storms are along maybe just a little bit north of the Red River. Definitely could be severe. Excuse me. So move this on a little bit more, and again, it shows some sort of line, cluster, whatever, of storms developing along and south of the Red River, down through the Dallas Fort Worth area, and into pretty much dead center area of Texas. So, is that exact? No, obviously not. But the general idea, I'll just circle it here, is that by mid-afternoon to late afternoon, we get an area of storms to form somewhere in here. The Storm Prediction Center agrees with that as well. As far as I know, unless I looked at the wrong outlook, they agree with that. So we're going to look at that as well. So yeah, we move this on and it intensifies. You see this purple start to show up. So this is getting into about 7, 8 o'clock this coming Saturday evening. So day after tomorrow. And you can see where it says L, and you might be thinking, well, these storms are behind the low. That doesn't make any sense. Well, the low is very broad at this point. So there might be a localized area of lower pressure there, but don't think about it that way. Just a very intense line of thunderstorms rolling through the Arklatex as the sun goes down, and it continues on. So we're going to stop this here as well and switch back to the Euro a little bit further east. This is about midnight. You can see that this storm kind of falls apart a little bit, but these yellow and red blobs in areas of southern Georgia, southern Alabama, the Florida Panhandle could definitely be severe. Breaks up a little bit, but again, in this area down here, Florida Panhandle, kind of up through southern Georgia, could definitely be severe. This stuff up here to the north is not nearly as intense. So it's just heavy rain, not severe storms. It would be much appreciated rain. Don't get me wrong. We need rain a lot of areas of the south, so we're going to take this no matter what it does. So this moves on out. So how about the short range version of the Canadian, the RGEM here? Well, it keeps this line of storms going and then kind of fizzles it in the middle areas. But you can see this, it continues as it moves towards New Orleans, for example. So, I mean, it's kind of similar to the Euro. It keeps some sort of line of storms down in areas of the Florida Panhandle, southern Georgia, but it breaks apart in the middle and more rain. I mean, this stuff offshore, off of the South Carolina shoreline, could have some severe potential in it, but I don't expect it to be crazy. And then this like blob moving towards Tampa Bay could be severe. Hard to tell. So we're going to move from this into short range model guidance, the HRRR and stuff like that. So here is the HRRR, and we started this off at 6 p.m. tomorrow. 6 p.m. Yeah, Friday. So you can see there's not a whole lot going on, but then right here, 1 hour later, I think for Friday, our area to watch is going to be in here. There's there's ingredients that overlap in this second circle, but there does not ever seem to be moisture that forms in it on any model guidance, really. So in this circle is where you need to pay attention to. I'll just leave it on. So we move this on, and yeah, you can just see there's clusters of storms that roll through there. It will be warm enough, most likely. And this is about midnight Central Time. There's just clusters of storms. This is not a high-end event. So it could be something where on a localized basis, you wake up to rumbles of thunder and you look out your window and it's kind of windy outside. Maybe your lawn chairs blow around a little bit, but not anything crazy about it. Now, again, this stuff to the north and say Kansas, Even central areas of Oklahoma likely isn't severe because it's just a little bit too cold. So the HRRR does not go out long enough to take us through the event. We'll go here. This is getting into about lunchtime Saturday. And you can see we've got some sort of energy starting to fire up here. You can see this kind of linear look that's along the front. So likely there's some sort of boundary draped in this area that will be the focus for storms. Now, this is another thing that's interesting to me. Those little black streaks that you see coming off the storms are called updraft felicity streaks, and they indicate the potential for rotation. That does not mean if you live under one of those that you should expect it to rotate or anything like that, but it's just the model's interpretation of rotation in a storm, and there is some sort of cluster of sub-severe to severe storms down here in the far southwest areas of Texas. So definitely possible we see that. Now this is last frame, so we're going to move on. Look at the RRFSA model. It initializes with a lone supercell rolling through areas of far west Texas. I mean, that's not a forecast. That's just what this model shows. I will go ahead and say that the RRFSA model has an overconvection bias, meaning it just puts more moisture on your screen than there likely will be. So you kind of see more storms in general. I think this is well possible. This is about 10 p.m. tomorrow night, and we kind of have a large cluster of just isolated storms. It will have the potential to, because our wind vectors, the from the surface up several miles, the vector of that wind, the average direction of all that wind is like this, and then our front is something like this. That angle right here is important, and this would be a supportive angle for isolated convection as opposed to just a straight line. But don't focus on that too much. This is what this model says on this run, but it kind of it bands everything together a little bit more as this trough takes on a different geometry. That angle decreases, so a whole lot of complicated physics goes into that. Here is 6, 7, 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, or actually Saturday morning, sorry. And just this is not necessarily severe. Along and south of the Red River could be. Now we go a little bit further, and this is starting off pretty strong here. This is getting into about 6 p.m. on Saturday, and you can see an expansive line slash cluster of storms pretty much along and south of the Red River. Now, there are like these storms back here. This is likely elevated convection. Again, the storms are based higher in the atmosphere, so don't focus too much on those. But yeah, you can see this line forming. I don't know why this does not have more of the latest. Does this have it? That's interesting. Okay, I'm going to use the latest run because it goes 6 more hours. So yeah, it goes a little bit further. So we'll stop this here. Get everything in frame. So here to here, yeah, you see that line of storms developing. Notice that obviously there's kind of a line here. But there's also prefrontal stuff out front of it there. Something to watch. And so we get towards about midnight. This is not a good look. Again, the RRFSA has an overconvection bias, so there may not be this much convection here, but still, the overarching theme here is that we have some sort of linear form thunderstorms that roll through the Arklatex and then approach the Mississippi River, getting towards midnight. For whatever reason, you can see over here there's these whited out frames. I don't know why they haven't loaded yet, but it doesn't appear that they're going to. Could be something wrong with pivotal weather. Either way, I would guess this line makes it about here before fizzling, just by what the other model guidance showed. But you can see those black streaks in areas indicating rotation potential. So we move past that. Look at one more. That's the NAM 3-kilometer version, the high resolution version of the NAM. And it does not really start stuff until we're getting closer to midnight. But you can see this cluster of storms a little bit north of, say, Midland, Odessa area of Texas. I mean, nothing crazy about this, but definitely could see it. And then we roll this a little bit further. Now, the NAM 3K, let's just take it one more. You can see, before I go into what the NAM 3K does, you can see that it has the same linear area of storms. What I was going to say about the NAM 3K is that it has a linear nature bias, where it pretty much struggles to do anything isolated. It overproduces outflow on storms. If you have a storm that overproduces outflow, it turns into a squall line. That's essentially what happens. So you don't see anything isolated about this. It's all just one line of storms. Even these are kind of a cluster. They're not just on their own. So it has a linear nature bias, and we have a few more frames here. So we go 6 more hours. It kind of falls apart a little bit more. I almost kind of like, unfortunately, for severe weather fans, I almost kind of like the fact that it does not keep these storms as intense as the RRFSA. I don't think it will be warm enough. I think it'll be warm enough to get storms going. I think it'll be warm enough for severe potential. But for example, I know this is going to kind of interrupt the flow. If we go back to what this showed, that in comparison to what we just saw there's a big difference there, obviously. So, I mean, for a severe weather fan like me, I'll be up at this time. This is about midnight, most likely, and I'd love to track these from my own house, but I almost don't buy this. So we move past that. We're gonna go a little bit into the severe ingredients here. So this is the Euro. I'm not showing you short range stuff with the upper level stuff. So we start this out right here. This is about 6 p.m. tomorrow evening when these storms could be starting, and you can see that we have moderate flow. I actually just drew a low pressure. Now we have moderate flow that kind of just expanding across the region where these storms could be firing off. And now, I mean, these storms are forming and with mid-level winds about 3 to 4 miles above your head, approaching 65 or greater knots. So you'd add a few miles per hour to that. So it could be like 70, 75 miles an hour. So more than enough wind energy at this time to get stuff going. The evolution of this kind of it takes it. For example, you look right here. So this is actually, we'll go back one more. So this is about the time that some sort of line of storms could be getting going in this area. I know that's a very big circle, but somewhere in there, a line of storms could get going. And the flow in this region is very much supportive. Now, again, if you draw in the boundary, see how the wind almost parallels it? So um, that angle is like near 0 degrees. Well, that's why these storms are mostly linear, not discrete. If the wind in this area was going off like this from the boundary, again, you kind of have that different angle. However, you remember how the RRFSA model had this area with the boundary? You see how you get out here towards areas of, say, um, Arkansas, Louisiana, the wind is not as parallel. So that's why there is some prefrontal. I can't believe I just mixed that up. Prefrontal stuff that fires. But we're not going to move sectors here. I'm going to stop this here. This is going to be the last frame I show you. We'll go into a deeper dive for areas further east tomorrow. There's no point in really doing this for today. But you can see, as we're approaching midnight Saturday night into Sunday morning, you have a lot of flow. It's very southerly based here. I mean, areas of Texas, northern Louisiana, Arkansas, there's not really much flow in these areas at all. You can see it goes essentially from nothing to interstate speeds over a very short distance. There's a very tight gradient of higher winds. So this is about the time that this line of storms is moving kind of from here upwind into this area. That this line of storms is propagating downwind. So yeah, that's the latest with that. Now, I'm going to look at a few different things, and not that. It's going to be this. So I'm going to show you temperature. That's one thing I don't like about pivotal weather. It goes back to the beginning of the run. So we're going to take this out here. For example, for tomorrow evening, when we could have storms in areas of Texas here, it's just above 70 degrees. So moderate temperatures, but definitely enough to kind of get the job done. So we look at that. Now I'm gonna play this progression a little bit. And we look here about the time that this line of storms could really be getting going in areas of Texas and along the Red River, pretty much in here. And you can see we have due southerly wind. That is pulling Gulf moisture and Gulf air. So it's warm and moist. That's what storms like. So you can see, I mean, there's areas here of like lower temperatures. That's because it's raining. But you can also see how this wind kind of goes like this and kind of goes like this. There's some sort of convergence in this area. This could be a um, a firing mechanism for storms. Not to forecast over the top here. It could be. That's also where our front is. So there's that. Now if I'm going to click here. We'll use this one. I go one more. So this is much more impressive when it comes to severe weather. This is dew points, and if you're looking here for these to be at or above 60 degrees, blue, where it turns blue on this map, is 60 degrees. There's a very noticeable tongue of 60 degrees dew points and higher. I mean, if I get rid of that, close this, and we have mid 60s in some of these areas. Obviously, as you go south, it increases. So where these storms could be forming, it definitely looks somewhat favorable here. Well, I was going to show you guys something else, but I don't think that this model does not have a whole lot of severe like products that we can look at. I will show you the wind from this low pressure is nothing crazy by any means at all. You can see it starts to increase. We make our way into the afternoon. So I think this is actually maybe a little bit underdone. The low is not strong. It's not like it's a 980 millibar low, but it could definitely be breezy in the areas surrounding this low, even though it's not really showing up too well on here. I think your wind gust would be higher. So that's all I'm going to show you for the severe weather breakdown. And we're going to move on here to a little bit of an analysis of moisture totals that we could see. So I mean, this is a National Blend of Models, pretty reliable thing to look at. This has changed again. I mean, I will show you right here. This was the run we looked at in yesterday's video. Kind of a unified, filled in South Central U.S. Southeast just gets at least an inch of rain. Well, the latest run has changed that a bit. I think it's starting to lock into where this low goes. You almost can see this comma shape here is because the low forms and it has moisture that surrounds it like that. So the National Blend of Models is picking up on that. Again, there's I think going to be a corridor here, like a horseshoe shape, that could get locally pretty high amounts of rain. And then you can also see how we have a low here, and then you can also see there's this increased area down here along the Gulf Coast line because the National Blend of Models does, I think, pretty well showing this transfer of energy from kind of a low that cuts to a low that just goes like this. So it kind of transfers down, and so you have this kind of another bullseye here. And I mean, you can see some areas don't even get an inch based on the National Blended Model. So that's interesting to me. Now, I'm going to switch this and show you the European model. It's even less excited about some of these areas. Even though it says it's running, we have enough of it at least to look at this. There are areas that get a lot, but this is a lot more sporadic. I mean, most areas of the South don't see an inch. So that's unfortunate, in my opinion. Now, we can look at what about the European ensemble? I knew it was going to do that. We look at what it shows. This is close. I'll just switch it back to this run and go a little further. So, yeah, this is not impressive of a signal when it comes to moisture. This would be much appreciated moisture, coming from someone who lives in an area where we need moisture. But this has really dropped off. You look at the run before this, it was higher. It was well higher than this runs before it. So we may be losing some moisture, but I also think that it's models kind of refining where the low is and really only targeting areas that should see precipitation. So that's a good thing. But we also look at the European ensemble. Is this enough? Yeah, this is enough. So this is the newest run of the European ensemble. This is all the snow that it shows. So I haven't gone over the winter weather side of this in several videos now because it kind of tapered off. That isn't to say that it can't happen. I think areas of far northern Virginia, areas of West Virginia, into Pennsylvania have the potential of seeing snow. If we switch this to the operational Euro, it did something. It gave about 2 inches to areas of West Virginia. So I mean, there's still a snow side to this. It's just really shrunk. We click through some models here. GFS model, well, I didn't do anything. So this is the same time frame, and it didn't do anything. The latest run, Yeah, we don't have enough of it. But yeah, I mean, it did nothing. So the European AI also did very, very little. So that's why I haven't really shown you it, because it just has really dropped off. And the Euro is kind of out on an island with the idea of giving more snow to these areas. So if you're looking for snow, I apologize, but I don't think you're going to get it. So we're going to go over some slightly longer range stuff here and look at AI guidance for pattern recognition purposes. Just looking at, I have to reload this, of course. Here we go. But we get this out here, get that storm passes us. So starting off the morning of the 18th, we have some sort of reasonably strengthening low pressure. I don't know what I was trying to say there. Sometimes that happens across areas of the northern plains, and we do get snow. That I think we'll see snow in areas, and we'll kind of dive into this. This is still several days away from us, so I haven't gone really deep with this. But there's snow to the south, snow to the north, rain to the south, kind of a corridor of freezing precipitation in the middle. So that moves on out, and then we have something else here. I think this could be some sort of severe event if it happens like this. You can see how these black lines kind of kink like this a little bit. That is indicating that what is likely a cold front is kind of draped like this. So along the front, there could be something. You can see how far north the freezing line is. That's what that dark blue line is. So definitely has the potential to be another severe event. Not a forecast though. Kind of sprawls itself out a little bit. This is the last frame we have. So there are a couple of low pressure systems to watch over the next 10 days that could be a little bit of everything. I mean, this even brings frozen precipitation down into Virginia. And so that's interesting. I hadn't seen that yet. So we look at the GFS AI. Probably gonna have to reload it. I'll roll with it. So that low pressure doesn't do as much with the moisture. There is a corridor of moderate to heavy snow, maybe across areas of the northern plains and Great Lakes region. So something to watch there. And then there's another low, but it doesn't do much with moisture. The low after that, well, it doesn't do anything either. This is kind of a sprawled out area of rain. So it's possible that this is severe on the the southern edge. It just looks a little bit kind of cooler. Nothing looks too crazy about that. So when it comes to the pattern in this time frame, this is starting out Wednesday as well as European ensemble, and what we're looking at in this map is troughing or ridging. So we have a trough, terrible color I know. We have a ridge over here. So where you see red, that just think about that as warmer air. Think about the blue as cooler air. It's pretty self-explanatory, if you will. So I mean, we start this off, and for the system we were just looking at around that time of the 18th, that up in this area here, what this pattern really supports is the low forms and just kind of jets across areas of the Midwest. And there's obviously kind of some cooler air lingering up in these areas, so it could be cold enough to snow. But if we put this in motion a little bit, you can see how that blue kind of sprawls itself out to the east a little bit. So this could support frozen precipitation in the northern areas of the U.S. again that haven't seen as much of it recently. Rather, the northern plains is really what I should say. The northern areas of the U.S. is kind of a ambiguous term, but the northern plains could bring some snow back to you guys, and we hang on to some sort of southeast ridge for quite a while. Um, it kind of moves around, weakens, strengthens again, and we really go zonal as we get out and past 10 days. That's just pretty much an air parcel can go from the Pacific Ocean to the Atlantic Ocean without changing latitudes a whole lot. So there's not really any shot of cold air involved. It's just kind of a basic pattern, if you will. But this is the end frame, slight troughing, pattern wise, kind of a bowled out, very very slight trough in these areas. Still hanging on to some ridging in the eastern areas. So nothing crazy about this at all. There's nothing flashy on these model runs, and the temperatures at the surface reflect it. I mean, this is what you look at in the longer range to try to figure out precipitation types. So this is starting out the same time. This coming Wednesday, the 18th, very warm. And if there is a rain side to this, it has potential to be severe because it's so warm out. And look at that area just grow as we get into this coming Wednesday. Something to watch there. But move this on, and obviously the western areas of the U.S. remain cold and the southeast remain warm. Uh, it'll be I think if I were to draw on this, that this will be a battleground area where you're kind of fighting for above or below average temperatures. That's what you're looking at, by the way. Cooler temperature shows up in this blue, and warmer than average temperature shows up in this red. But if we get out to this is right about 10 days, and the U.S. is pretty evenly split between warm and cold. And I mean, you go out further than that, and again, we'll use this frame right here. There's no reason specifically to show this, but if you have a low right here, for example, kind of rolling across central areas of the plains, it is yanking up Gulf air, Gulf moisture, Gulf warmth, whatever, kind of wrapping in some cooler air from the north. So I think that we honestly, the way I would draw it, I know it's a very large circle. This is, I think, the area that will get most active over the next couple of weeks, whether it's snow or rain or what. Now, that's not to say that you guys out here do not be active. So let's look at that. The European model, just the operational European, there's the system on the 18th. There's another low pressure system that kind of forms there. This is likely storms to the south. Actually, this could be a decent event to watch. It's getting closer to 10 days out though. And I want you to notice we get out at near 10 days and just how much the western U.S. lights up with snow. Just repeated areas under the gun for snow. Now, nothing crazy about this. This could be storms down here in the deep south. Not a forecast though. And there's some more snow for the western U.S. So I think that areas of the western U.S. that don't receive, or rather that haven't received a whole lot of snow for the entire season, have a chance to start to catch up. I don't think you're going to recover from it though, unfortunately. Um, but yeah, I mean, this could be storms in the south central U.S. as well. Hard to tell. So that's the entirety of the run. So like I just said, I think if I were to draw, there's two areas. Right here, watch this for winter weather. And then I want to watch kind of right in there for just kind of repeated storm systems that go like this. Just kind of track across this area. That's not to say that if you live down here, obviously, if this run we just looked at, there's areas of storms that form here. And if you're in the Northeast, well, let's kind of run this back. I don't know why that happens sometimes. Let's run this back and see it. I didn't focus too much on that. So it honestly, it looks like there's multiple attempts for the storm systems that form out west to make their way up there, and you get some snow in areas. But it's hard to forecast this specifically when they all take different tracks, and that's I'm not even going to show you another model for this long range stuff other than the AI guidance for pattern recognition and just the Euro because I like the Euro. I'm not gonna lie. So that's all I have for you guys today. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it was helpful to you. I'll get another video out to you guys tomorrow. We still have to watch this weekend storm, but oh, that reminds me. If you're still here by this point in the video, I'm gonna go ahead and look up the Storm Prediction Center Outlook sequence here. So this is today's. This is tomorrow's. So this is Friday's. They've actually extended this north. So again, that perfectly mirrors the corridor that we were just watching. Now, if we no tornado threat, so they're saying that it's a hail threat, not even a wind threat. So these could be slightly elevated, kind of like we were mentioning, although I would not have assumed that these storms would be elevated this far south. So they're calling for 5% chance of hail exceeding, I think, 1 inch in diameter or larger. Yeah. So not anything crazy there. Now we go one more day. This is a very broad area, obviously. I mean, this is a lot of Texas, a lot of Louisiana, southern areas of Arkansas, southern areas of Oklahoma. All we know about this is that it's a 5% risk of severe weather within 25 miles of any point inside that area. They go into the discussion down here, very long discussion. Actually, one of the longer discussions I've seen in quite some time. So they go into it. Now, if you go into like Saturdays or Sundays, I should say, that would be day 4. It says predictability too low. So they don't have enough information. They don't have enough confidence to issue a slight risk equivalent, a level 2 out of 5 equivalent or more. But yeah, I mean, in this discussion, they say Um, how much? I'm trying to read this. Yeah, they're essentially talking about the possible lack of instability in this area because it could be cloudy, rainy. It just might not be warm enough. So that's what they're talking about here. They do say some risk for strong to isolated severe storms seems most likely from southern Alabama and Georgia into parts of Florida. So that's what we were talking about. I think that the short range version of the Canadian showed that the best. So tip your cap to it if it ends up verifying that way. But yeah, it's a big day right here. We'll have to see. If I had to assume anything, this is not a forecast. Don't take this as so. If they're going to upgrade this, they do it like right there, somewhere. Um, not anything specific, but I think this has the highest chance right in there to be upgraded to a slight risk. You can see it over here. So that is all I have for you. Again, thank you for watching, and I'll get a video out to you guys tomorrow, and I will see you in the next one.